Hey everybody, welcome back to the Note Genius YouTube channel. Today I am joined by Miss Jasmine Willois. She is an absolute force in the note industry. We just spent a weekend a couple weeks ago up in Irvine, California. She hosted a fantastic masterclass for her investment group, NAP Nation. And today we're going to talk to Jasmine about her experience as a note investor and why she started NAP Nation and what NAP Nation brings to the note industry. So, Jasmine, hello, how are you today?
Wonderful, man. Thank you for having me. And yes, it was fabulous spending the weekend with you. It was a great time. And like, I just highly recommend spending to get in this guy's presence for sure.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Let's just start with a brief introduction to who you are and how you became a note investor.
Oh, wow. So Jasmine Willois, just a girl from the Bronx, East Coast, and currently live in San Diego. So just bi-coastal lady. And I got into notes. Ironically, just I was running a club, so I had a real estate. And before this, I was doing turnkey investing for my previous clients. So I was a stockbroker. I worked with Morgan Stanley for a while. So when I left there, I had a lot of wealthy clients. So I started just finding real estate for them and bringing it to them all packaged in a bowl. So I did turnkey investing. I'd go and find, I have a degree in economics. So one of the things I loved is I would find these burgeoning areas that were just about to explode. And I'd say, this is where you need to invest. And I'd show up with a house, tenant in it and everything and sell it to them. So, anyway, so I did a group. I had a club and, just one day, two guys in a suit walked into my club and they were standing in the back. And if you get to know me, I'm a pretty casual person. So I was wondering if I was about to get arrested or not. But yeah, two guys rolled up and they happened to be two hedge fund managers um, from Brooklyn. Started talking to them and they just wanted to get me into notes. So ironically, I learned about notes, even with my background, from a hedge fund manager.
Nice, nice. So with your background in Morgan Stanley, with working with hedge funds and a lot of wealthy people, you've seen money move in a lot of different ways.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
seen a lot of ways to grow money. What was it about notes that made you say, I have to get into this? This has to be my route.
Man, I just fell in love with it, right? So I just can't tell you it's either for you or it's not. I always say people that I want to work with in notes, I say, if I mention this to you and you find that you can't sleep at night, then notes are for you. And so that's what really happened. As soon as I found out, I couldn't really stop thinking about it, right? But outside of like the physical reaction that I had to it, which was just on my mind, it's just what I love to do. So I used to be a stockbroker. Like I said, I used to did day trading back in the dot-com era. So I'm about the trade, right? So to hear that I could like trade notes and not have to deal with real estate, I've also raised with a real estate background. So my family had me more rentals than the law allows. I was always cleaning up rentals and property management companies that my family's owned. So I always knew about the hard asset of real estate, and I was really just turned off on it. There's no reason for it in my mind. So when I found that I could like get into an asset that I knew everything about from top to bottom, right? I'm telling you, from cleaning this thing up to selling it as a real estate asset to doing the debt and then trade it. Yeah, I fell in love with that aspect. So I'm a trader by nature, and so the trading part I would think is what attracted me to it the most.
Okay. Cool, cool. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, a few weeks ago, you hosted the NAP Masterclass in Irvine. Fantastic experience. 2 days of just no nonsense, just strategy, networking, deal making. You had a room full of hungry investors in there. And my biggest takeaway from the weekend was your approach to finding opportunity. Whereas
Okay.
a lot of investors who operate within this space. They have a specific buy box or they have deals that would kind of scare them away. Whereas your approach, as we were going through inventory, was, hey, this is a non-performer, this is a bankruptcy, or this one's in foreclosure, or this one's underwater. But you always had an approach to how you would create opportunity from all these different scenarios. So are you of the mindset that most investors should stick with a particular buy box, or is it more like the more that I know, the more I can do?
Well, I mean, look, I am of the mindset that if you come to my class, you're going to find a strategy that works for you. And so I'm going to present them all because I make money out of all notes. And so that's why I'm around. And that's why I used to wear the cowboy hat. So if you want to know why I wore the cowboy hat, because just like you said, mostly investors out there, they're so conservative and they're very tight wad, right? And they don't come from a place of abundance. And I come from a place of abundance. And when you come from a place of abundance, there's really not a note that you can't make money off of or help or bring value to, right? And so I want to bring that attitude to the community because I run around and I attract a lot of dynamic people like myself. So you in point, case in point, like someone like you, to pigeonhole you or I'll pretend like you need to be pigeonholed into any strategy is just a wild conversation to have, right? With
Mhm.
someone as dynamic as with our background. So it's really just about if you're coming in and also just know that there's always banks always win, right? So those people who are stuck in that one strategy, then they're overlooking so much other opportunities. And so even if you can't work it out, you can broker it to someone who knows, who specializes in taking care of it. But there's so much money in this game and this particular niche of real estate and note investing that I just get excited talking about it, as you can tell. And I'm just like, you can show me something that I can make money off. That's my new challenge. And so, can we make money off this note? The answer is yes. And so, I want to bring that attitude to everyone because not every note, you might buy a note and you want it to do this and it decides to do that. And then that's how I get most of my inventory because these people don't know what to do with it. So, they call me and sell it to me because I'll take it.
Mm. So your masterclass was primarily for members of your community, NAP Private Equity Club.
Yes.
What made you start this community, and what are the benefits of being a part of it, and how has it grown over time? How long have you had it?
2013.
Okay.
So it's been a long time, right? Over a decade. What's unique about it is it's truly private, right? And it's because of you've been exposed to it. So I mean, I dare ask you a question back, but what's unique about my community is the people, right? And so this is a place where people practice abundance, live by it, and a lot of those people like us don't have a place out there. When you go to these other communities, there scarcely is a mindset, and they're fighting over assets. They don't even have assets, right? And so we have plenty of assets. Inventory is not a problem for us, and that's again is because a lot of us just manifest that in this room, right? We all about that. So the main difference, I say the whole, we all love to work together and support each other. And so because of that, I had to protect it. So it is a private equity club. It's a club, much like people join Kiwanis and all this other stuff. We have all special niche. It's referral based only, right? You referred to me. I met you personally through my trade desk manager. So shout out to Tiffany for bringing us together. But yeah, this is like a small family, and so that's what's different, and why we have it private. So that's one of the benefits if you're looking for it. What I can tell you is this: being a woman and then being a minority woman, I can speak to of the fact which is that we learn differently, right? And so we may need more colorful conversation. May need something broken down in a different way for it to make sense. And so I don't want any of us to be turned away. And so starting in my class, one of the things I want to make sure that you have is the ability to walk away understanding, right? And that you don't get from every class. So that's one of the reasons I say it's a benefit to start here and then go out elsewhere because you're going to get the foundation. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, to support what you just said, I definitely got the feeling of abundance from all the investors in the room, of various levels of experience.
Yeah, tell me,
Um, and everyone
please.
had the same. I mean, so you had Scott, Scott Pullman, who has, he's a beast in his own right out in Michigan doing his thing.
Yeah.
You had Mark, you had some of your other students, Anna and David, I believe it
Oh,
was.
they were doing,
We'll
yeah.
yeah, we'll touch on them in a second. But yeah, just kind of bringing everyone together who has, one note, no notes, several $1 million portfolio, whatever the case may be. There was no hesitation from anyone to ask questions, share information, be a referral. Like even me, someone being relatively new, I could walk up to a Scott or a Mark and say, hey, like, how can I be of value to you? I know you're further along in your journey, but we had that conversation where it's like, hey, it doesn't really matter if you have value, you have value. So I really appreciated that about the
Yeah, a
weekend.
lot of people, my goal in these classes is to make sure you have inventory, everything you need to leave there successful, right?
Mhm.
So I buy you inventory. There's money in that room. I'm giving you money. Like I know people who left there with money. If you didn't leave with money, let's talk because there's money in the room. I think you found some JV partners in there. So
Yeah.
speaking on that, like the camaraderie is there, the education's there. So the things that you actually need to be successful. A lot of these other classes, that I've been to myself to talk about why I started this is that they always leave that one ingredient out, if not many, right? And so, or you got to upgrade to you got to spend $1 million just to get to the $1 million club. I say, you know what? You know what? We're gonna do things a little differently over here. So, get everyone in the room, all humble people, and you're right. You did not know who you were sitting next to in that room. A lot of these people have not only just in their own rights, in their own community legacies in what they do, right? But have a lot of financial backing. And so yeah, there was definitely over 30 plus $1 million in that room, and you had access to it, and you still have access to it because everyone exchanged numbers. So if you're looking for something personal and that is going to take you a long way and that's going to mean something to your journey, then yeah, I would say this is the place to stop.
That's awesome. In addition to that, we had a number of fantastic guest speakers. We had a CPA, investor CPA to be specific, who knows
Right
no
on.
investing, and understands how to maximize your benefit in that aspect. We had a lawyer. We had Skip, who talked about
Oh, the exit strategies, man. Yeah.
strategy as far as doing home renovations and selling an REO, things like that. That was fantastic. I'm definitely gonna hit Skip up
You
for
got
that.
to get him on the show if there's space for him because yeah, no, that was wild. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get Skip on to talk soon because that was great. And then we had Miss Fernanda Furman, who talked about how to implement AI in a note business. AI is kind of her specialty. That's what she does, and I really appreciated her presentation. Especially someone coming from my position where it's like I can kind of, there are people who have been in the industry 10, 15, 20 years, and it's like they have
Right, right.
systems. I write it down in my notebook and I have a specific system that I've been using all this time to
Man.
stick with. Whereas for me, it's like, okay, I can grow with AI. I can implement AI in the very beginning and use that to go to where I want to go. So how have you implemented AI into your business? How has it changed your efficiency, your time? Yeah, let's talk about that.
First of all, thank you for speaking so much praise to my guests because it's just I gotta tell you how flattered I am every time that they come out. I'm always shocked. Like you're coming out, but they enjoy the community. Some of them learn as they're there too. But yeah, the AI. What's funny about what you just said, right? And I'm one that I can laugh at myself if I ain't got it. But some of us old heads been in here for 10 years. We want to. I don't even feel comfortable coming in out in 2025 telling you about how I did note investing 10 years ago. And so those guys out there who are still talking about sit down with your Texas Instrument calculator, like this is 1960 and stuff, like God bless you. But you guys, with your generation, one thing I'm not going to do is hold you back. Okay. And if it hasn't hit you, I want you guys to succeed. And with the power that you have today at AI, I got to tell you, I would be remiss. And anyone who's out there doing note class without taking AI, they're doing a disservice, right? And so you saw within a short time, I wish if you guys would have given me 3 days, I could have balled out on you guys. But you saw what in just 30 minutes, how AI can just speed up your due diligence and just get your I mean, it was just amazing. So, I am currently one of those old heads, and so I am spending this year and the next couple months getting everything transitioned and getting as AI forward as possible. But as I note, I would never, and I make it a point not to tell my students to do anything I wouldn't do, right? So anything I'm doing in my business, you're going to find it at my class. I'm not holding it back. And AI is going to not only be a huge part of me, but if you're starting right now, for you to go back to the traditional Excel suite or adopt somebody's program where they're doing the mailers from trust me when I tell you, it's not a good. There's other ways for you, and I'm just floored at the things that you guys have at your fingertips. So let's go get it. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, on the topic of being in that room and meeting all the people that we encountered over the weekend, it's very clear that establishing strong relationships,
Oh yeah.
mutually beneficial relationships, is clearly a pillar of your success. What kind of relationships should investors seek out if they want to do consistent, clean, profitable deals?
Yeah, I mean, you've heard this before, and it's true. Like most things across the board, anything in excess that you can apply that anywhere. Same thing with this, which is, relationships is key. But I got to tell you, I have yet to see it in a more concentrated fashion than in the note industry, and private equity in general, I would say, right? And so when you think about private equity, there's so many different um like plays on the word private, right? It's private because it is. It's exclusive, right? And people don't talk about it. You sit next to a guy, you know a guy your whole life, and he won't tell you that he's buying it, doing notes, right? And so the word private not only plays to it being an exclusive community, but it also plays to the fact that it's a small community, right? And so those relationships are important because you're always going to have someone, and I think we talked about this before, that you will know through one person or another. If you're in this long enough, there's no party in here that's been in 10 years enough that doesn't know every player in this game. And so only the new kids show up asking certain, and we know you must be working for one of the running around for one of the big guys until you get your own self together. So, relationship is so key. I've made money off the fact of 7 relationships. So when it comes to brokering, this is such a private industry. I've had times where I've had one guy say, "Hey, you know, I need you to broker this deal for me," and tell me why. He's like, "Well, so and so, the guy who wants to buy this, if he finds out I'm under this deal, he's going to back out." What are you telling me? Oh, I got him fired from a job way back in the day. I said, "Oh, okay, that's great." So everybody wants to do the trade. The trade must get done, right? But not everybody needs to know who's involved with the trade. So, like I said, the word private is played out so many different ways here. So, relationships are going to be key. Also, when it comes to finding vendors, like what I'll tell you again, going back to privacy, like part of your problem will be if they don't share their vendors with you, trying to find a bankruptcy attorney or a foreclosure attorney, a creditor's attorney at that, because you will pick up the phone. You may go to, dare I age myself and say Craigslist or whatever you guys use now. You go to the place to get information. They're going to be asking you how they can help you save your home. Okay. Creditors' attorneys are not out there looking and trying to find business. Banks are giving them plenty. Trust me when I tell you, right? Um, so yeah, what I do is I give my resources, right? It's going to save you a lot of time. If I have an attorney, like we met my SEC attorney. You guys can pick up your phone and now call these guys. They expect you say I'm a NAP Nation member. They're going to be happy to respond to you. That is so important as far as you getting off to a good foot in note investing. Otherwise, now you have the note. Even if you find the note, how are you going to get through it successfully, right? Without the proper team. So it's part of what we really strive to succeed in.
Awesome. That is fantastic. We going back to your students, right? We were able to hear from like I said, Anna and David and a couple of your other students and club members who talked about their success. Could you speak on what note investing can do for people who are pursuing more income, more flexibility, more time? I remember just listening to, Anna and David, and they were like a year and a half in or something like that. And then listening to Dr. Engerman and what he's been able to do over the last 3 years or so, 3, 5 years. And just sitting there thinking like, and I knew this already, but listening to the stories firsthand, like, wow, like this can really change lives. Could you kind of talk about the potential that note investing has to do that for people?
Yeah, because like you said, a lot of us know that life is limitless and we have all this stuff going on. But again, maybe it's just us and we learn differently. But I
Mm-hmm.
know that when we get in front of people who look like us, talk like us, that are accessible, that is what gets us to the next step. That is what makes us go like it's not just something we heard on TV. You might be listening to this podcast right now going, "Oh yeah, sure, it's life changing, right?" But when you get into the room and you you hear him telling him that he just bought his kid a note, right? That story, how phenomenal is that, right? There are kids right now. If you're out there not understanding notes, guess what? We have some kids in Pennsylvania, 6 to 11 years old, that are
Mm-hmm.
already onto this game, right? So yeah, my student success is my success. It's literally, a lot of maybe with the company that's been passed on or whatever. I'm still the owner, so I'm really vested in the success. I have take pride in it. I don't want anyone walking around saying that my program didn't work. That's not a thing, right? So I take one of the reasons again with private is because my time is limited too. I spend my time with my students, and then I want to work my own portfolio. All
Mm-hmm.
right. If I'm out there working with everybody who just signs up for $15, I won't have much time to focus and give you guys what you need. And so, your success is really why I'm still here. Right? When we talk about my relationships, between my relationships and then my students being able to succeed, and we invest together, right? And so when I say that, I mean that I get notes because of you guys. When you guys buy notes, I get to buy notes, right? And so it's really a nice, healthy, symbiotic relationship. And yeah, I want it to continue as long as I can, right? And so no matter what, we will always, it's because it's built as a family, as a club, it can continue, and we always come in and work together and take down larger tapes.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you had someone who came into your community and say they had maybe like 10,000 bucks or so in capital, Well, I was listening again to your students tell their story and say the first note they bought was like 5 grand, something small like that.
Yes, sir.
How would you advise someone in that position to proceed? Is it worth going that small, or should they find a partner who has more capital, or just to get your foot in the game? Like, how would you proceed?
So, like always with all my classes, it's about know thyself,
Hmm.
right? And so the reason why I'll even sell someone, you go to another class and I'm going to sell you a $5,000 note. They don't even want to put the contract together. Okay. So these are things we have to do for each other. Right. And what I do know about some of us is that we're not going to drop, even if I have 100,000 in the back. I ain't going to tell you, and I'm not going to drop it on the first note because that's not how we operate. Right. I need to know first. So the reason I sell those smaller notes is so people can take their baby foot in. Right. And so 5,000 to so and so, but it's just enough for you to say, okay, I want to give it in. Not everyone's going to drop the first 30,000. So that's the purpose of those baby notes. So what I would tell you is that it's not a matter of whether or not how the size of the note, because you're going to get the same exercise no matter what note you go through. $100,000 note, $1 million note, foreclosure process is the same. Okay. So you're going to get the same lesson. So you have to ask yourself, what are you here for? And what are the things you need to overcome? If your first thing is to overcome, like, is this real? Right? If you're like, I don't even believe this, right? If you're still at that point where you don't trust, then you buy your first note for 5,000 or less. So that if something happens, right? Then you're like, okay, see, I knew it, but and then you survive, right? But typically it's like, hey, okay, nobody died. Okay, let me get the next one, right? I made a little money off of that. I see how I doubled my money. But you invest 5,000. If I give you a 50% return, you're only going to come back with what? 7,500. So you're not going to retire on it, right? And so just know that this is still a math game, right? It's still a game of risk and reward. And so it's all about the comfort level. The good news is that we do have the smaller notes, right? So I wouldn't think of it from that perspective, but just where do you find yourself? If you're more seasoned, someone like you who've been around for a while, you may only have 10, or you may now be comfortable going in and say, okay, I'm ready to buy my first $30,000 note, right? Good news is someone like you, and again, you met some people who would joint venture with you, right? In my class, you'll find people who you may have $0, but you just scrambled up your money to get to the class, and now you met someone who's like, and this happened in this class. I won't mention any names, but it's one of the gentlemen's now working on 3 rehabs for someone he met in my class right now. So he's going to have some money coming up soon, right? So money's fluid in this community. We have it everywhere. That's not the problem. The problem is having the right attitude and being able to come down and figure out what you need out of this program. And so that's what I would suggest is if you're ready to buy $100,000 note, then we got them for you. And that's going to be building like your passive income or taking down larger notes, and that means you're ready to get in. But if you're really still trepid, then let's take down a small baby, call my baby note.
For sure. Okay, cool. So a couple more questions for you. One of your catchphrases that was frequently repeated throughout the weekend is "make money and go to heaven."
All right.
your go-to saying. As I've gotten to know you, it's very clear that in addition to doing good business, you look to help people in whatever way possible. Can you talk about how note investing gives you the opportunity to make life easier for your borrowers while still being a profitable income source for you?
Yeah. Um, Over these last 10 years, and I gotta say thank you. This gentleman pays attention. He was paying attention in class. So if anyone else is listening to this, he's gonna be a great JV partner. But yeah, no, making money and go to heaven is something we came up with when I left Wall Street, basically. I made a lot of money and I was definitely not sure where I was going after that. And you see a lot of that going on right now in this world. Okay. People even questioning, are they going there? And they know they're not. Okay. I don't want to have that on my path. Okay. And so, in doing that, like I said, I did a lot of day trading during the dot-com era. So those of you who know the history of Wall Street and what happened down there, there's a lot of blood on the street, a lot of slaughter. Like we were selling companies that didn't have any financials, had nothing. Right. And so, I learned that was a lesson. That was my takeaway. I didn't just take money away from Wall Street, didn't just take experience. My takeaway was, look, you want to make a lot of money and there's a price to pay, right? So make money and go to heaven, or just know you're gonna make a lot of money and then you're gonna have a judgment day coming up. So that's what that's about. And so the notes for the other when you ask me why I love notes, well, there was the other thing that I failed to mention is that I realized I can make the same amount of money I made on Wall Street and have an opportunity to do right, right? And so when I tell you I jumped at this opportunity, I shut down literally everything I was doing and ran towards Note and put everything into it because I had an opportunity to put my calling to use. So I'm a person who loves to do service. right? And so service is something that's a real important part of my life, and it's allowed me to do it. So when you're in a room full of sharks, right, who are just going to take and eat everything, as much as you can take some of these homeowners in and help them get their deed and work with them, then that's what we do here. So that's what that means when you're a note investor for us is helping the borrower as much as they will allow you and giving them options and being patient, right? And so, if you listen to our podcast, I have a podcast called Naked Notes Podcast that's out there. I still have it running. We're starting a new one up here soon, but the Naked Notes Podcast, you'll hear me talk about exercising your patience muscle, right? So, in note investing, one of the things that has taught me and to be a better person, a better mother, is to be patient, right? And know that in the end, you're going to win. So just stop at the whatever, your emotional upsprings, whatever you're going through, work on yourself because the money's in at the end, right? And so I would say that notes has just transformed my life as well. And so I always want to give back to that system. But yeah, we just want to make sure as one of my goals before I get out of this here is to say how many deeds I've given to people. Because right now I feel that we're under attack, right? Corporations are trying to own as many deeds, and I'll be damned if I wake up and I didn't do my job, right? And getting as many homeowners, actual people owning homes, so we can maintain some sort of civil society, if you will.
Absolutely. Okay. One more question for you. Of course, as we discussed, you have been in the industry for over a decade. How has it shifted since you got into it, and where do you see the opportunities now and going forward?
Yeah, I mean, as an economist, it's just the natural ebb and flow of things. I would use the word shift, loosely only because it's just doing what it does, right? And so right now, we're going to see some rough waters ahead, but bankers make a lot more money when things are going, so that's why you don't hear us out there bragging that much because when things go bad, we're making the most money. So that's why I wanted to make sure everyone understood in my classroom, like, don't get caught up in this woe is me. Like, there's a way. But overall, like, we touched on the AI, that's what's changing, like, dramatically. In the next 5 years, people won't even notice it. And when we talk about barriers to entry, there's going to be larger barriers to entry with this AI because you won't even be able to get to a person. Like I was just talking to someone the other day. I was like, I probably only have 12 more classes I'll be teaching. And they, why? Why you say that, Jazz? And I was like, technology, I probably have a hologram teaching
Mhm.
in class. I'll be at the beach and y'all be watching my hologram. Shoot, I'm going to be participating in technology, the next stage of notes. So just so many different things. But I will tell you, like, as far as the flow that we're in right now, as far as the cycle, you're going to start seeing a lot more inventory. Okay. So inventory is out there. Don't let them tell you any different. But this is a pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered type of environment. So a lot of people are going to like, hide the inventory, keep it to themselves and not share it. But inventory is going to be coming down the pipeline just for economic reasons. So I see that changing just now, the scarcity of notes. I also see a lot more women coming in. So if you're a woman who's listening to this, come on in. There's room for you. But I know I played a big role in bringing them in, and so we're going to each one teach one, and so don't be intimidated by that. So there's going to be some real huge shifts, but overall, it's just going to be really numbers based as usual, right? This is one thing I love about notes is economics driven, right? Either people can afford their home or they can't. And so part of the workout is coming to Jesus with everyone. If you can afford it, you can. If you can't, let's get you some cash for keys, leave with dignity so you can re-rise from these ashes and start all over, just like many of our moms have done, right? And so it's not a thing like we may have done in our personal lives. So just doing it with operating from a no shame standpoint, and everyone is just human, humanitarian standpoint is where we're coming from.
Got you, got you. Well, thank you for your time. Again, thank you for putting on a fantastic event a couple weeks ago. Looking forward to getting deeper into the community, meeting more of your students, more of the club members, finding some JV partners and putting some deals together. And like we said before we got on, like eventually we'll be sending some big numbers back and forth to each other.
Right, don't forget about me, right? I'm not
But
gonna let
yeah,
you.
I got you. I got you. We're gonna have some fancy dinners for sure.
All
Uh,
right, buddy.
but cool. Any closing thoughts? Anything you would like to add? And then how can people find you and get in contact with you in NAP Nation?
Yeah, so as far as contact, you can reach us at 855-541-6683. That's 855-541-6683. You can also go to our new website, which is NAP privateequity.com. So napprivateequity.com. Our community is affectionately known as the NAP Nation. So that's what you hear him saying. NAP stood for the Note Assistance Program. And then yeah, my final thoughts are no matter what happens out there, keep your head up. There's ways. So start networking. Definitely stay in and stay safe, but don't let that stop you from networking. I managed to meet this gentleman, amongst these times. So definitely get out there. But these real relationships are what going to really take you over the top. So I want to say thank you for reaching out to me on a personal level to have me on the podcast. And yeah, each one teach one.
For sure. Okay. Well, thank you. Much success to you, and plenty of business to be done going forward. So enjoy the rest of your
See you
day.
soon.
All right.
All right, buddy.
Thanks.